had the healthy economy that we could have and should have with all those particular things, believe me, the people that would come, there would be a need for jobs, there would not be the hostility, there would not be a threat. Just as freedom brings people together domestically, actually in that sense I believe they would. Today though, that is not the case, and there is this tremendous antagonism, and unfortunately it's going to get worse, but we cannot ever reward the illegality of people coming in and getting in front of the line and penalizing the people that try to come here legally and are legal workers. Since I've always been concerned about too much government in Washington, you know what my attitude might be about too much government being accumulated at the United Nations in New York City. My position on that has been very clearly, because I introduced legislation to this tune, I believe sincerely that this country would be a lot better off just not being in the United Nations. And I don't like the WTO because it serves the interests of the powerful special interests. They claim it's for lowering tariffs, but quite frankly, the WTO is approached more often by our country to raise tariffs and for protectionism than it is to lower tariffs, which in reality are taxes. But the international corporations like international regulations, just as in this country, big businesses are always in Washington fighting the principle of states' rights because they want to unify and make universal the regulations. But the same approach is occurring at the WTO. And one area that I am very resentful of, and I imagine there are a few here who might be interested in this issue, and that is the idea of international regulation of our nutritional and vitamin products. I don't think we should have any of the international regulation for that. In this same area, there is a movement on, although there are many members in Congress who don't know about it and maybe don't care and don't seem to have any concern, and that is the movement toward a North American Union. We should positively oppose that. But there are specific plans for a North American Union and plans for a gigantic highway that goes from Mexico up to Canada. At the same time, they are planning to take millions and millions of land through eminent domain, and this we do not need. We do not need an international or a North American currency called the Amero. We're having enough trouble with the dollar. We don't need the Amero. Problems are many, but the message is clear and the message is very positive. The message is one of freedom and hope. It means that if and when we get our freedom back, we assume responsibility for ourselves, which we will have the incentives to do so because we'll be allowed to keep what we earn. In the early days of the settlements in Virginia, they tried to run their settlements for 2 or 3 years under socialism, and they were starving until they decided each and every one would have a plot of land. And after that, not only did they have plenty, but the few people who couldn't raise their own, the neighbors had so much, they voluntarily took care of the other. But when they ran it as a collectivist, the settlements literally failed until they went and recognized the principle of private property. That is what we needed. That is what will solve our problems, our economic problems. Though we have significant problems, we have a much better history, we have a much better understanding of what freedom is all about. The countries in the Soviet system did not have that same background. But we do know something about, through our history, about what sound money is, what property ownership is, what voluntary contracts are all about. And with that, if we would restore that, even if and when our country gets poorer, because I believe we will get poorer, because we have lived beyond our means, and we have to pay back, and that's what we're doing. In the 70s, we paid back for the guns and butters of the 1960s, and it was very painful. This time, it's much bigger and much worse, so there will be payback. We will have to pay for the bills that we have run up, and it's usually paid up by paying off bills, paying off debt with bad money. But if we do what is necessary rather quickly, and release the creative energy that comes about in a free society, we will not be poor for very long. We will get back up on our feet, and we will be wealthy once again. The one thing about the campaign that I think is remarkable and should be very encouraging to all of us is that something significant is going on, more so than I ever dreamed, and maybe you even thought of either. Because for many, many decades now, our government has been taken over by the special interests, the lobbyists who control Washington. All the rules and regulations and the tax codes and in foreign policy and monetary policy, it's all designed for powerful special interests to have control. And the system has been designed to keep out individuals who had alternative views. It's very difficult to get views out in an alternative party outside the Republican Democratic Party. Sometimes it bothers me the fact that we're supposed to be going overseas to spread democracy, and when you think about the democratic process here, it comes up short. But we have this opportunity, and it's coming about because not only is it seen by so many in this country, and a growing number of the young people recognize that this system isn't viable, that we have to do something, that all of a sudden, I think the witnessing that occurred just recently on a particular day, and maybe will occur again in December, the message is so powerful. Because although we're individuals acting alone but coming together, we are now in competition with all the power and all the money, and they'll hear from us for a long time. Thank you very much.